What's up, Play Sports Gamer here, and let's talk about SENUA'S SAGA, which is supposed to be one of Microsoft's Xbox's saviors, and I have reservations about how good of a game it's going to be. First of all, I want to talk about SENUA'S Sacrifice. I played this game to completion, even though from the start of the game to the end of the game there was months in between, because I started it, got a little bored with it, took some time, then finished it. But to be honest, SENUA'S Sacrifice wasn't a bad game. The sound in the game was pretty good, pretty amazing. The graphics were pretty good, especially for an independent studio. This game was not bad. But the problem was, it was walking to an open space. You had to solve a visual puzzle and fight like 3 or 4 enemies to get to the next space. And it was like repeat from there. It was rinse and repeat, basically almost throughout the whole game. The visual puzzles were different, and some of it took me some time to figure them out. But all in all, from an independent studio, SENUA'S Sacrifice was not a bad game. Yes, I said I got bored with it, but completing it, it wasn't a bad game. And whoever said there was no fighting in the game probably didn't play the last part of the game, because there was a lot of fighting. But the enemies, they're like 3 or 4 types of enemies, and that's it. And that's why it was like mostly repeating. Walk to a spot, solve a visual puzzle, fight 3 or 4 enemies. Walk to a spot, solve a visual puzzle, same thing. And towards the last part of the game, you were fighting a lot more enemies, but the enemies, again, types were basically 3 or 4 different types. See, I don't know why Xbox bought this studio. Yes, this game was a visual feat. The sound was amazing. The topic was important, but I guess the Microsoft executives saw this game and thought, oh, we need to snap this up because they're gonna create an awesome second game. So SENUA'S Sacrifice was released in 2017, and we all know when a game gets released, they start working on the second game. They have a small group that will fix the bugs or anything wrong with this first game. But then there is a vast majority of the team will start working on the next game because they need to release games in order to survive. SENUA'S Saga was announced in 2019. Like I said, it was started probably a year and a half before that. So SENUA'S Saga was probably in production in 2017. And it's going to get released, we're thinking, in 2024. 7 years to create a game is way too long. I don't care how good it looks. You shouldn't be working on a game this long. And a lot of people will say the COOF was a good excuse why this game has been delayed. But ask Insomniac if the COOF affected them. Ask Santa Monica if the COOF affected them. It seems like the PlayStation released their games, albeit they did have some delays, but they released the game. SENUA'S Saga was supposed to be the Xbox's savior. It's supposed to be the go-to game for the Xbox. This game is hyped way too much. So let me talk about this and my reservations about SENUA'S Saga. Yes, the game looks amazing. It's very alarming that they showed basically no gameplay at all. They announced it in 2019, and all this time, they basically released quote-unquote gameplay trailer. One was when you saw the giant beast, and there was absolutely no gameplay. The only gameplay on that was running away, and that's not gameplay. Then, another trailer released with SENUA walking towards this pond. Again, that's not gameplay. Then finally, a third one was released, and we saw glimpses of a gameplay, flashes of a gameplay, a flash of the combat, which looks like it's basically the same as the first game with a couple little additions. So I think it's very telling and very alarming that they have not showed any gameplay for this game. And they did not have any release date for this game. Now they just said 2024. There are some people out there saying it's going to be May 2024, and I know at this Xbox Game Showcase next week, I bet there is going to be a release date for this game. And I want to say, and at this game showcase for Xbox, there better be a solid 10 minutes of gameplay for this game. They better show something. They can't rely on this graphics. And I know this is not going to be a Watch Dogs type of trick. I think the graphics, what they've shown, is actually going to be in the game. But then again, I think it's kind of a little weird. I've said in previous videos the green screen effect, and everybody knows what that is, and it looks weird in movies when you see people running away from like a big Godzilla or running away from an explosion. It looks very weird, it looks fake, and it seems like this game has that effect on the trailers they've shown. The graphics are good, but it has this weird green screen effect. I think it's a little off-putting. But the biggest thing is, I don't think the story is going to be that great. In my opinion, games with great graphics is not the most important thing. The most important thing is storyline and gameplay. And I just think this is where SENUA'S SAGA is going to fall apart. My opinion is there's not going to be much gameplay in this game. There's going to be a lot of running. There's going to be a lot of walking like the first game. But there's going to be a lot of cinematic effects where you're going to see a lot of cinematics and not much gameplay. Like you saw in the trailer with the giant, where I don't think you're going to be controlling Senua at all. Or you might have some quick time button events where you're throwing the spear at the giant. But there's going to be no gameplay. The only gameplay is you're going to pull the directional stick away, running away. But other than that, I really think there's going to be just like quick time events and cinematics for this game. I don't know where they're going to go with the story also. I think the story is going to fall short. I hope I'm wrong, but I really think the story is going to fall short. So this game's going to try to impress you with the graphics alone. It's probably not going to impress anybody with the gameplay and the story. This is why you see these independent studios that you say, oh, the graphics, like these 8-bit graphics, they're not that great. But then again, the gameplay and the story is great and you love the game. And to make me think I'm going to have reservations is they haven't showed anything. I think the developers know the gameplay is not that great for this game. The story is not that great for this game. That's why they haven't shown any of it. We will wait for next week at the game showcase, see what they show, and see what the date is. Xbox needs a huge game. Sony is kicking at butts with games like Spider-Man, God of War, Horizon. They got the rights for Final Fantasy. Xbox, if you come to think of it, doesn't really have anything. Halo fell short. Starfield was a disappointment. These games are taking forever to release. And let me talk to you about how people think it's so great for Xbox telling the developers to take your time in developing games. When you do that, when you're not strict about deadlines, and you say, oh, take the time you need, this is what happens. Games don't get released. It takes 3 to 4 to 5 years longer than a typical game development time. And these games, not like these games are coming out bug-free. These games are still coming out a buggy mess. It's so much better when they have strict deadlines, when they're pushing people. This generation nowadays is too soft. They can't take the criticism. They can't take the pressure. So these companies treat them with kids' gloves. And this is what happens. It takes forever for games to get released. So this is my take on SENUA'S SAGA. I think the graphics will probably impress people, but the gameplay and story is going to fall short. And this is not going to be an Xbox 2024 savior. But we'll see at the game showcase, see what they show, and maybe I could be wrong. So let me know down below what you guys think. Please subscribe. Please like this video and comment below. Thanks. See ya.